but today we're going to talk about plug-in hybrids. Hello and welcome back to the Lease Guys podcast. My name's Jo and today I'm chatting to George and Ollie from Yorkshire Fleet. So guys, electric cars are grabbing the headlines, but today we're going to talk about plug-in hybrids, or PHEVs as they're known. Yeah. So what is a plug-in hybrid?
So a plug-in hybrid is a car or van, predominantly cars but vans as well, where you have what we think is the best of both worlds. So you've got a petrol or diesel engine and an electric motor and battery. So the two things work together, you switch between one and two seamlessly. So you've got some electric driving, but you've also got the backup of the petrol or diesel engine. Some examples of these, which you may be aware of, I mean the first one we became aware of was the Mitsubishi PHEV. Yeah, which they actually called, I don't know if they coined the phrase, but they called it the PHEV. Yeah. That's no longer with us, but popular cars have been BMW 330Es, Golf GTEs, but also bigger cars, X5s, Range Rover Sports. A lot of manufacturers have produced these things, and they're really effective. They seem to work. There are other hybrids out there. The word hybrid is a bit overused for me. It's a bit confusing. There are mild hybrids, which use they have a small battery, regenerate things like braking, that sort of thing, to power some of the auxiliary systems, but don't power the wheels. Then you've got a full hybrid or self-charging hybrid. Toyota, Lexus, big on those. So again, braking, that sort of thing, regenerates, reuses that power to drive the cars. And then what we find works best are the plug-in hybrids, where you, as the name suggests, you plug it in to get the electricity, if that's not too obvious, which I suppose it is. So hopefully that's sort of educational but obvious. Yeah. So yeah, plug-in hybrid, electric motor, battery, and petrol or diesel engine. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like the best of both worlds, and great for short and long distances, which is perfect. Yes. I think, especially yeah. I'm looking at this thinking, oh, this is quite interesting. So you've sort of touched on a few of these, but what are the main benefits of a plug-in hybrid then?
Do you want this one? Yeah, thank you. Well, fuel economy is one. So if you get the right kind of user where they can plug it in, run it on electric for 20 miles to work, maybe plug it in at work and then run it for another 20 miles home again, then fuel economy is going to be off the scale. They're going to be using electric nearly all the time. So I suppose that's one benefit, so they're saving money on fuel. I guess company image to a certain extent, where they can't go full electric or EV. At least it looks like they're making an effort, I guess, if they're floating around in plug-in hybrids rather than sort of dirty diesels, if that's the impression. One other benefit is the lack of the range restriction that you get with an electric car. So where an electric car isn't suitable, you've got the idea of somebody running a plug-in hybrid for 30 or 40 miles on full electric and then being able to continue the journey with the petrol or diesel engine. So yeah, they're the three kind of fringe benefits, but I guess what drives the demand mainly in the plug-in hybrid world is company car tax. That's the kind of the big win, I guess, yeah.
Which was actually my next question, so maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Exciting topic of tax, marvellous, thank you. So company car tax, if a company provides you with a car, the taxman see that as a benefit, which I suppose it is, so you have to pay tax on that. The level of that tax is determined by the value of the vehicle, but also the cleanliness or the environmentally, how green this car is. So that's measured on carbon dioxide output. The higher the output, the higher the tax. So plug-in hybrids work because they've got lower CO2s. The electric vehicles are the win, but as Ollie said, if they're maybe not appropriate for someone, then a plug-in hybrid is definitely the next best option. So whereas you might pay £20 a month company car tax for an electric car, if you take something like a Skoda Superb as an example, because they do a plug-in hybrid and a diesel, For a 20% taxpayer, the plug-in hybrid will cost just over £40 a month. The diesel is nearly 100. So over the year, and obviously if that's a 40% taxpayer, then that difference doubles. So
significant saving because the CO2 levels are lower on the plug-in hybrid. Not all plug-in hybrids are equal.
because within the plug-in hybrid category, there are subcategories. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the percentages because it's really dull. But the further it will go on electric, the cheaper the tax is. So, for example, I don't know, Volkswagen Tiguan is maybe £45 a month because it's got a really good electric range and a bigger battery. And a Range Rover Evoque is at the other end of that scale. So still a plug-in hybrid, but it's over £100 a month in company car tax. So it's not just a case of getting a plug-in hybrid, you've got to dig a bit deeper and look for the more efficient ones. Hopefully that was not too dull, numbers and tax.
No, I found it fascinating actually. So,
Well, have music.
so that's one massive benefit is company car tax
Yes.
for a company. But are there any other benefits for companies then?
I suppose like we've already said, if a company's moving from regular petrol cars, they can't go to electric for whatever reason, they would see the benefit of moving to a plug-in hybrid with fuel again, so their fuel costs might be lower. If they're doing the right journeys, could go the other way if the drivers are doing really long journeys and not sort of getting that balance right, or if the drivers just can't be bothered to plug them in or can't plug them in, and then really what's happening is they're carrying a really heavy battery around with the same 2-litre engine petrol. So that's one of the benefits. Company image again, that's a good benefit for the companies. They seem to be sort of working towards green credentials and being environmentally friendly. The key benefit again is the tax. When an employee drives a company car, the employer pays Class 1A national insurance on that vehicle, and the difference between the amount they pay in that national insurance for a petrol or diesel car versus a plug-in hybrid is massive. So I've got a couple of figures here which we'll put something on the screen, but yeah, like a Volkswagen Tiguan R-Line, if it were a regular sort of petrol or diesel, we'd expect the company to be paying maybe £2,200 a year in tax. That would be about £410 over the year for a plug-in hybrid. So it's to the benefit of the employee, but massively also to the employer as well, as far as tax is concerned. And so yeah, it works both ways. If a company car driver's got the option to run one or the other, it's in the employer's interest to sort of encourage them down the plug-in hybrid route, certainly at the moment anyways.
Well, I think there'll be quite a few businesses with little ears pricked up there thinking about plug-in hybrids with those costs.
Yes.
So I've heard that the rules are changing around plug-in hybrids. Maybe you could touch on that.
Oh, hot potato.
Quick, pass the mic.
So there's a couple of things that are happening, I suppose. The big one is the testing regime is changing. So when you see a car, it's got X number of CO2 grams per kilometre, that's down to a test. And it's been deemed that the test is too easy for plug-in hybrids. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but the test's going to get more difficult. So the mileage the test is over, it's going from about 500 up to over 1,300 miles. They're going to use more non-electric driving. They're saying they're trying to make it more realistic. They're making it more difficult, certainly, and we don't know what that's going to do, but it's going to push some of the less efficient plug-in hybrids probably out of consideration. I mean, certain manufacturers like the Volkswagen groups, the Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, have really gone into this plug-in hybrid technology in the last 2 years. Really put bigger batteries in, bigger ranges, hence a lot of our examples are based around their products because they show the figures best. So we think they'll still fare quite well. And if your driver is doing too many miles or it's not appropriate to have a fully electric car, these will still be the next best option. Why have I said that phrase again? I don't know why I said that phrase. I couldn't say it last time. So they're still going to work. We just don't quite know what the impact is, but that's coming in. That's effectively coming now. So any new cars launched as of April will be subject to the new test. All cars will be retested by the end of the year. So we will know soon what the impact's going to be. And then the second part of the change is that the range is going to go out the window come April 28, and all plug-in hybrids will be classed the same for company car tax. So again, a little increase, but still significantly better than running a petrol or a diesel if a fully electric car isn't appropriate. So I still think they've got a place. I think they'll still work for company car drivers. So hopefully they will.
Now, would you be able to get a plug-in hybrid on salary sacrifice?
I'll give that to you.
You certainly can. I mean, you can have any car on salary sacrifice. The reality is some cars just don't work on salary sacrifice. Plug-in hybrids do work to a certain extent. They just don't work as well as a full electric car. So as an employee driving a salary sacrifice car, they're paying company car tax in the same way that a company car driver would be driving a company car. It's exactly the same situation. So if an employee wanted a car through salary sacrifice and they couldn't have an electric car, then they could certainly go for a plug-in hybrid. And at the moment, they're not really getting penalised that much. They're really attractive, but as we've covered previously, we know that from January the world's going to get a little bit worse for plug-in hybrids in terms of that, which pushes the gap bigger from an electric car to a plug-in hybrid. And then come January 28, we know that they'll be reclassified as they'll all be the same, and they'll be more expensive again. So yes, in answer to the question, they do work on a salary sacrifice scheme, but nowhere near as attractively as full electric cars.
It's good to know though, isn't it? It's important to highlight these things. So how does a plug-in hybrid lease compare to, say, a petrol or diesel business lease?
It's a good question, because the perception of a plug-in hybrid is clearly that they're a more expensive car. You've got the technology. Not only have you got the petrol or diesel engine, you've also got the battery and electric motor, and that pushes the list price up. So you could think that the lease would be more expensive than a petrol or diesel car. However, the residual values, so what the lease company will get at the end of the lease, is definitely seen to be greater on a plug-in hybrid, on a PHEV. So that means that has a positive impact on the monthly rental. So it reduces the cost because it's more desirable. They'll get more for it at the end. So that negates some of the higher list price of the car. But there are other factors. So the car manufacturers are targeted on their average CO2 output. So they're more motivated to sell a plug-in hybrid over a petrol or diesel because the CO2 levels are low. So they will give greater incentive, better discounts. They're more likely to do a bulk stock offer deal on a plug-in hybrid. Generally we find that plug-in hybrids are actually really good value on a lease compared to petrol or diesel. And in often cases they are actually less per month than the comparable car that isn't a plug-in hybrid. So they work really well.
Bargains to be had.
Hopefully, yes.
And if you're looking at increasing your fleet, then actually that's quite a big saving, isn't it?
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
offering deals like that, which is fantastic. Now, you guys have touched on this a little bit actually already in your answers, but maybe you could talk to me about the future of plug-in hybrids.
Crystal ball time. I guess the manufacturers think there's a future in plug-in hybrids. There's new models coming out all the time. Volkswagen Group in particular, as George has mentioned previously, we've got the new A3 out this year. There's lots of models which, despite the change in the car tax situation, they still remain really attractive. And I guess private individuals, if they can justify the difference between a regular petrol to a plug-in hybrid, there might be demand there, but from a company car perspective, they'll remain the best alternative to an electric car. So, we've supplied business lease cars for years and years to company car drivers, and just because the electric car makes it look ridiculously good value to have a company car versus a diesel doesn't mean that those company car drivers aren't going to still need cars, and the plug-in hybrid will continue to be the best option. So yeah, I think it looks healthy, and we've got a lot of customers who really appreciate the benefit, everything we've said. So yeah, I think they'll carry on. Looks good.
Well, let's see into the future. Guys, thank you so much. And that is it for the Lease Guys podcast. If you wanted to know any more about plug-in hybrids or your business is interested, please contact yorkshirefleet.co.uk.